Welcome to the, I don't know what to call this, the latest Alien episode for the Comic Binge. I have no idea. But anyway, I'm joined by Ridgetop, AKA Adam, but I kind of go between calling you Adam to Ridgetop. I'm just going to go back and forth. So people...
That's fine. Ridgetop is my screen name from our forums. So
how long have you had the name Ridgetop?
For quite some time. Some people think it refers to the alien dome. Like I prefer like the ridge-headed aliens as to the smooth-headed aliens, but it's actually just a street I used to live on called Ridgetop. So I was like, what should my Xbox gamer tag be? Ridgetop. Okay. That's my street. It's available. Cool. So
I know this is a dumb thing to say, but I thought it was a actual aliens reference. I thought it was actually a Marine's last name, to be honest. No. Okay. All right, that's fair.
It's very, it was my street.
Okay. P-Thug is
not very creative.
Hey, my screen name is a little more, it's stupid too, I guess. I don't know. And then yours is way more interesting than mine. Mine's a guy I used to play in a band with made a hip hop album with me, like on the cover, and he called it P-Thug. And so I thought it was so stupid that I loved it. So I just wanted to keep it. And so now I went with it, man. So anyway, we are here to talk about the latest Marvel comic series, Alien issue 3. It came out a few weeks ago. Adam has been gracious to give me his time and his energy, especially what we're going to talk about today. I know he's done.
Did it come out I think it came out last week. Did it not?
I say a few weeks. It feels like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? Was it technically 2 weeks ago?
I think it was last week.
All right, a week ago.
It was.
You're right.
Yeah, May 26th. So about a week ago.
Okay. Yeah. So you've been gracious with your time, and we've been doing a regular show of doing Aliens and Predator comics. Don't think we haven't forgotten about Predator.
It'll be a while before we see those, though.
Yeah, it'll be a while. But regardless, is that it's been a lot of fun. Adam and I we're all about doing this right now, and for time being, it's been great. So I again appreciate Adam giving his time. Thank you, Adam. And we're talking about the Alien series. Now we've talked a lot about this series the last couple of weeks, and the hardcore fan base, which I love Aliens. I love Predator. And there's a reason why I'm having a whole show dedicated to it, because I do like these franchises a lot. Now, Mr. Ridgetop, AKA Adam here, or whatever which way you want to say it, is a mega fan. Mega fan. Like I'm a giant Star Wars fan. It's like take me, Star Wars fandom, and put it to you. And that's what we got for your fandom. And your and mine views on this series specifically have definitely differed in a lot of ways, especially with the art. And I love that. I love getting different opinions and dissecting different things, because everyone's going to do things differently. And you said some very interesting things, not negative things, not necessarily that I'm talking about here, Adam, but you said some interesting things about the differences between the mainstream audience and the hardcore audience. And so we'll get into that a little bit. But this comic series is on issue 3, so we kind of know more now of what's going on and what to expect from this. And so, and again, I didn't even ask you this before, but I would love to just talk about the story aspect and keep that separate from the art aspect, because I know that's a big kind of contention for a lot of people in your neck of the woods. So we'll go there eventually, but we'll just talk about overall comics. So we're going to put art with it and story, and then maybe we can do is separate them both at the end and see if you still are in line with the series or not. I don't know, but regardless, I'll let you go first, because you are the mega fan, and I think I want to hear your thoughts and kind of be able to dissect them. So tell me, reading issue 3, what before you went on the online and read in reviews, which again, another question, do you read reviews, or you're like, let's say if someone, like, you go on your forums, right? Do you read reviews before you read the comic book, or do you pretty much like, okay, good, or you just go like, I'm going from...
I don't think I've ever really, I mean, with the Dark Horse stuff I did usually after I read it. But with the Alien comics, I've gone in blind. Yeah,
that's good.
And that's just because how I've read them. Like I've read them in the paperback format most of the time. This is a few times I've read the individual singles, and this time I am. But no, I don't read the reviews.
That's good. Okay, so cool. So you went into this comic book, and so I'm going to ask you, sir, what did you think about Alien issue 3?
It was not my favorite. Okay. So issue 3 for me has been the weakest issue so far. For me, it seems like the story is just kind of meandering a little bit at this point since they've gotten on the station. By the way, spoilers, everybody, just a heads up. I think there were some kind of cringe things that happened, mainly with a particularly violent scene that just kind of seemed like it was trying to be edgy. So I actually, you know, and again, this goes to what you alluded to earlier. Like, the reviews have been positive for this from what I'm hearing, and it's selling quite well. So some people are obviously into this, or they're just excited for Marvel to start Aliens. But just looking at our forum and looking at some other places like on YouTube, more, you know, hardcore Alien fan outlets, a lot of them are not happy with this comic and the art. And yeah, you were saying like, oh, can we like separate the art and the writing? It's hard to do that in a comic because they're so tied together in terms of the flow of a story. So in this one, it seemed like we were finally going to see more aliens, and we do. And we were nervous about seeing the aliens from the beginning, from that first panel shot. And it seems like that really hasn't changed. A lot of these aliens are obviously referenced from toys, and for us fans, they're very instantly recognizable as that. As a matter of fact, in one panel, for the big chap kind of Giger style alien, he's using the Hot Toys alien as reference in one panel, and in the very next panel on the same page, it changes to a different reference shot of Big Chap. So mainstream audiences are not going to notice things like that. Hardcore fans like us are going to be like, whoa, that's the same alien, but its face looks different from one panel to the next. What's the deal here? So yeah, and the problem too isn't using figures as reference. Again, you can use figures as reference. The problem is none of them have any poses outside of what the figures can do. They're all very like, they look like posed action figures. Like, if you want to use reference to get the basics down, go for that. But you still should have something that looks like it's moving, especially an Alien where they move super fast and pounce and stuff. Like, so in my opinion, and the opinion of fans that I'm seeing on our forum, LaRocca just can't do aliens in terms of like the look of the creatures. And that's so important in the comics, is getting the aliens right. So that, and seeing the extent of that in this issue, was a bit of a downer for me. Also, in terms of the story, there were some bits like, well, like that didn't make much sense, and that didn't make much sense. Like, for one, this guy gets like his chest cage ripped out, and he's all like on the ground, and he keeps talking, and he's calling for his mother, and I'm like, this is getting a bit ridiculous here. And the alien comes up to the other Marine, he's like, but we shot you, and I'm like, what? Like, that dialogue is just no. And again, like, unless he missed like a few shots from a pulse rifle, should have been able to at least get an alien to stop a little bit. So there's that expectation there. There's also the fact that they rescue this scientist lady who ends up being the extremist activist that brought Gabriel Cruz's son onto the station. And the Marine that Gabriel Cruz is with is about to give her a gun, and Gabriel Cruz is like, no, don't do that. But it's like, wait, this person here was, was with the group that got your son here. You're not going to take more action right then and there. And so it kind of puts him in a bad spot later, and she gets away. But yeah, that whole bit was like, oh, are we going to stop pretending we don't know each other? I was like, oh God, really? Like, so this comic for me is where it's kind of like, I've lost faith in this comic at this point. Like, is regardless of my problems of the artwork, okay, with the first couple issues, at this issue, I'm kind of like, I don't see myself liking this, and that's a shame. But thankfully, we know it's only 6 issues, and a lot of people on our forums are just like, well, hopefully they get a different artist. But hey, like, I want Alien to succeed with Marvel. Like, Dark Horse had some stinkers too. Yeah, no, like, it's selling well is not how we always judge success as fans. Yes,
no, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, you're right.
But So just to kind of give you a sense of what some of our users are saying.
Yeah, oh God, here we go.
I'm dumping all the negativity here, so get ready.
It's fine. It's fine. Let's just go for it. Just go. Let's go. Hit me with it. Well, really quick, what is the site so people can promote your?
So this
your
is
website?
Our website, Alien versus Predator Galaxy, where we report on news. We have interviews. We have a podcast, YouTube channel,
great place,
all the major socials. And that's how I initially met you, Paul, as you joined us on our podcast, which we still really appreciate. So,
absolutely.
So this is from our discussion boards, and these are just users, and I hope they don't mind me quoting them here. But this is from 426 Buddy, who says, "Wow, that's terrible. These panels make me cringe." Judge Death said, "WTF did I just read? Was hard to keep track of what happened at the panels, and then a guy with a rib cage that's molted like that still talks and shoots his pulse rifle. Do I even need to say a person wouldn't be able to do that?" This is by Still Collating. It's atrocious that professionals are so lazily tracing figures, but for me, that's not even the worst part. What annoys me more is that here is just like in Aliens Fire and Stone, the artists do an awful job in posing the figures. They can do so much if you just try. Just look at this amazing YouTube channel of how this guy poses Alien Predator figures. You can get dynamic poses and make them feel alive if you try enough and have a good understanding of anatomy and motion, which you would expect from an artist, but obviously it's not here. The story isn't perfect, but I'm willing to give it a chance. It got me intrigued enough, but the art, the awful aliens and the faces, and the weird self-insertion is really taking me out of the story. I think the self-insertion he's talking about is LaRocca is using himself for the main character as Gabriel Cruz, which he's done in a number of other comics, and I don't know how common that is with comic artists. It is kind of weird to make yourself star in the comic that you're like an artist on.
You have the power, man. You can draw well. You can do what the hell you want, right?
Let's see. Yeah, someone's saying this whole affair continues to be a joke. That was by Trash Queen. Nuki Morph said, "I'm confused that most of the comic reviews don't seem to think so. It seems like the majority is eating the series up. I'm just glad we have a TV series to look forward to."
I hate comics. The comic medium is terrible.
Let's see here.
This is great. Actually, I love this because we're about to give me a couple more, and then I'll give my thoughts. I have some rebuttals, sir. I've got some rebuttals.
Okay. Where's that other one I pulled up? So much good stuff here.
I think I'm.
But go ahead. Get started with your.
All right. So what I'm going to say right now is, am I absolutely in love with the series? No. Do I think it's complete dog crap? Not even close. I mean, for me, I don't even see how people could say this is like a horrible comic book. I have read horrible comic books in my day, and I'm not saying everyone's opinion is different, of course. Excuse me, but I just don't see it. I understand. I've definitely can see in your guys' community, and again, I'm talking about obviously. I'm also part of the Perfect Organism podcast Facebook group, and I know people were just taking the first issue. Oh man, people were just ripping it to shreds, saying like, "Oh, I could do a better job than LaRocca."
On Perfect Organism, you were hearing some negative stuff too.
Oh, not on this issue, but the first comic. I haven't gone back and read because not because I don't like that site. It's a great podcast, by the way. I love Perfect Organism. Those guys are awesome. No, but I just there are so many negative comments on it, and I remember one guy being like, "I could do a better job than LaRocca." I'm like, let's see it. And I think I said this before in the first episode we did.
Well, yeah, I mean, you always have that argument. Could you do better? But it's like we're basing this off all the other artists we've seen do the Dark Horse comics. Yes, we've had some that haven't been great either, and we've usually complained about those too.
Yeah, that's true too. And that's fair, And again, I'm coming from the standpoint of I've been a LaRocca fan for a while, and I remember reading I totally forgot, and I can't believe I forgot because I love the series, the Doctor Doom series with Christopher Cantwell. He did a phenomenal job with Chris, and I love that series. I love Doctor Doom, and LaRocca is a big reason why. I understand the whole, it feels lazy, and maybe for the hardcore fans. I'm not the hardcore fan like you guys are. I do love the series. I love the franchise. I love Aliens. I love Predator. I love all that stuff. And I've watched those movies a ton, and I'm trying to get more involved into the comic books and things like that. And when I was on your guys' podcast last summer, I remember getting really into it. I remember talking to Aaron and asking him what comic series to read and everything. And you guys gave me some good stuff. And I love comic books and I love those franchises. So it's like a, you know, perfect thing for me. What I don't understand is this, like when I read this comic book and people are like, oh, it's not very good. I'm like, man, I just don't see it. I personally don't see any problem with the aliens. I have seen, again, I know there's some criticism that I have from you, Adam, that I've saved and I'm going to show people. I want to be fair. I just don't see the problem as far as this overall comic book. Now you could nitpick and say, well, he took this from that. I think those are fair. I don't want to discredit those. I'm reading the comic book. There is and stop me here if I'm wrong, but I would say aliens specifically, not predators so much, but aliens is a little bit more, not meta, but there's more of the themes in aliens are always a lot more like bigger, a lot more just kind of like a paradox or not paradox. What words I'm looking for. It's like it's saying something in a bigger sense. It's like, you know, or a commentary. It's a commentary on certain things, right? Like whether it be aliens about isolation and you know, things like that. It seems like there's more going on artistically in aliens than in Predator, right? At least from my perspective, I felt like that's what it, you know, they're commenting on something within society.
It's kind of a general perception, yeah. Alien does have a bit more commentary than Predator and such.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to act like I know what all those are off the top of my head, because I don't, and I'm not sure what if Cameron was trying to say something, you know, from a commentary on something, or Ridley specifically. Just I haven't gone that deep into it. I know there's probably something there, but you know, obviously Ridley didn't write the movie; he just directed it. You know what I'm saying? But I guess what I'm trying to explain here is that this comic specifically feels like Johnson is trying to give us, he's talking about something bigger than just the comic itself. And he's using the aliens to do that. Now, those are usually my favorite kinds of stories, as far as, you know, he's commenting on, I think, to me, military and not in a negative light, but like, I think the drawbacks of, again, being an absentee father, those themes and things like that, like how those things can come back to haunt you. Now, these are coming back to haunt you in a bigger way, obviously. But those are the things I'm picking up on, and those are obvious, but I like those. I like the fact this is big. This is just an alien story. The aliens are being used, which I think is right. The right way that people are supposed to use the aliens stories is to tell a bigger story with the aliens as the antagonist. And there's, you know, a human tale, if you will. And I think, to me, that's what we're getting from this comic book. And maybe that's why people are liking it more. Not that specifically, but it feels more in line with, let's just, you know, instead of just going, let's go balls to the wall, alien stories, like Alien Resurrection, if you will. Like, it's just insane.
I don't know if I've seen any like particularly deep commentary so far. And that's not, I'm not trying to knock the writer. Like, there are some things like, that have me intrigued in terms of like, oh, who is this alpha alien? Like, what is Gabriel Cruz's history? You know, he seems to have a lot of history beyond just security of the station, that he also had a lot of history with the alien and research of the alien, what's going on there. He's having these dreams about this Giger-esque woman figure, the Sill looking figure. But we also have these covers of the alpha alien, which has been mentioned as like, oh, it's his legacy or whatever. And so I'm like, what's going on here? Like, so there are elements of the story that still have me intrigued. My problem was the nonsensical stuff. And I found the quote that I was looking for, which this one was by Sill, which was saying, for someone whose rib cage appears to have turned into a barbecue pit, the guy sure talks a lot. It's like they're trying to make it horrific by showing them suffering as much as possible, but it just comes across as juvenile. And another, so that whole sequence of them fighting the alien was super kind of awkward for a lot of us, I think. This was by Voodoo Magic, who's another one of our staff members, who said, read issue 3, not great. The series is progressively getting worse for me. And page 2 into the story just made me cringe in the worst way. Let's all stop shooting so we can have a conversation with the alien. Oi. So yeah, the whole,
hold on a second. I want to check this out.
So that whole sequence, like, as far as like their first engagement with the alien on the station, it was just like, no, we were not into that.
Hold on a second. Let me just see here. I'm looking at this. Well, I think, see, everyone interprets these things differently, and this is what makes art even.
It's because in Alien comics, we're so used to seeing like gruesome, dark, horrific shit, right? Like there's some pretty dark stuff in Aliens comics, and so if something comes across as like, hey, this is trying to be edgy, like we're gonna see right through it.
Okay, so this is the thing. I don't read this as like, oh, we're stopping to talk, have a conversation. Like the alien, like I feel like in the movies, again, just looking for my pure memory here, that like the alien will give it time to react. You know, I'm thinking of I forgot which one it was, but I remember the shot where it's like a close up of the alien, and it's like its lips are like, you know, doing this, and I forgot which movie it's from. Oh my god! But like there's like a substantial amount of time before like the thing, you know, the mandible, whatever comes out of her, whatever the hell it's called, comes out.
Sometimes the aliens do seem to take their time, but it was just the whole.
I get it.
Whether it's like savoring the fear or whatever, I don't know, but like.
Right. So that's what I took. That's what
it was less what the alien was doing and more what the people were doing. How the guy was
panicking. Like, that's what I interpret it as. They're panicking.
Yeah,
like,
but you're not going to be
talking too
while your rib cage is exposed like that and shooting on the ground. Like, I don't know. It was just silly to a lot of us how it was presented, I think.
I don't. Yeah, and maybe, and again,
feel free to disagree. Like, not everyone's going to feel the way we do. This is just the general sentiment I'm seeing in our community. I'm not saying this is representative of a lot of fans, but from what you said with Perfect Organism, you're seeing this in some other alien fan circles as well. So there's going to be different expectations based on, like, I looked at their Instagram. Like Dark Horse has, I don't know, like 700,000 Instagram followers or something. Marvel has like over 50 million. So they're working with different audiences here. Yeah. But I think among hardcore fans, and Philip Kennedy Johnson, like, again, until this issue, I was like pretty into the story. The art was my main gripe. And honestly, I'm still intrigued by the story. I want to see what happens, regardless if there are these little scenes that I'm like, that was kind of awkward how they did that. So I'm not like saying, oh, this is a terrible comic. I haven't written the comic off, but am I probably going to score it well when we finally do our review, which we are going to review for AVP Galaxy after issue 6. So they have announced that the trade paperback is going to be called Bloodlines. And that will be after issue 6, and I believe that's coming out maybe in the fall, something like that.
Yeah, it'll be coming in the fall, probably.
So yeah, that's when we'll review it, and I don't expect any of us on our podcast to give it a positive review.
Fantastic.
But we'll see. Maybe it'll end really strong, and we'll be like, we weren't into the art, but the story ended really strong, and so. But again, the art. In comics, the art and the story are so tied together in terms of your experience as a reader. So, you know,
and you bring up a great point, Adam, and you're not wrong. Because to me, it's the art will always overcome the writing, whether it be, and it could make or break a comic book, and that could, because it's a visual medium, right? So I get that. But I guess I think for you guys, because you guys are like, I don't like the art. So I'm just gonna, what I'm wondering is if Marvel will be off to a bad start, in a sense that you take the art out of it, but just at least from the aesthetic standpoint of getting the right talent that understands the character, or the franchise. I shouldn't say the characters. There's no specific characters, obviously, but the franchise, and I think the aesthetic that the Alien franchise is a part of. That to me is what's important for the 6-issue Bloodline comic book, because
that's the problem, is the aesthetic. Like I was telling you with the dropship example in the last one, if I see a new dropship as an Alien fan, I'll be like, whoa, I haven't seen that dropship before. What is that? Was it made just for this comic? Oh no, I Google it and it's a free CG dropship model. And so when I see stuff like that as an Alien fan, like in Star Wars, you want the universe to expand. You want to see new interesting things, which was a big, and I won't get into the sequel trilogy because I know you like that, but that's a big thing about the sequel trilogy, is a complaint in that a lot of that was very similar elements to the original trilogy, as opposed to the prequels, where we saw tons of totally different things in terms of the planets, in terms of the spaceships.
Sure.
So with Alien, we do like some familiarity, but we also want to see new things. And we don't want to see things that like are just like, they seem new at first, but we like, oh, this was just ripped from somewhere. This wasn't really created for this, you know.
But
which, if you want to bring up sorry to interrupt, if you want to just to kind of finish my point on this, if you want to bring up the Resident Evil example, because
well,
I kind of noticed this because I'm also a very big Resident Evil fan. That's kind of like one of my franchises right after Alien and Predator is Resident Evil.
So it's up there now.
So this was the lab in the space station, and I was kind of like, I knew I've seen that lab before. Where's that from? And this was posted in an Alien Facebook group. I can't remember which one. But you can tell from the environment here that this environment was straight up just ripped and photoshopped into here. And that's what I've kind of noticed, especially in the space station, a lot of environments. It looks like the environments are just kind of taken from like sci-fi hallways and stuff like that. You compare that to like an artist like James Stokoe, who has also done stuff for Marvel. He did a recent Alien comic that we really love that you have to read called Aliens Dead Orbit.
Yeah, we were talking about that before.
That's right. Yeah.
Dead
Orbit. That's a great one.
We'll definitely
love to see him back. Thankfully, the Aliens Anniversary comic, I've looked at the artwork for his, and I'm liking what I'm seeing with that one. He's done some great stuff with Godzilla and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Excellent.
Let's see.
Well, and so, and for me, I think that there's a lot that I don't think this is a be-all, end-all series, but I think Steven Johnson has been pretty solid. I don't think the story's been bad at all. I think a lot of things
Kennedy Johnson?
Oh, sorry.
Kennedy Johnson.
God, that's I'm me with names. Anyone who knows or see me from the podcast.
Who I was talking about, by the way, with the artwork for the one-shot Aftermath is Dave Watcher.
Dave Watcher, okay.
So that one I'm really looking forward to. That comes out this summer for the Aliens 35th anniversary on July 14th. So that'll be Marvel's first comic that's not this. That's a different team working on it.
And listen, I think Kennedy Johnson, not Steven Johnson, Kennedy Johnson. I think Mark Steven Johnson is the guy who directed Ghost Rider and Daredevil, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, I love Daredevil.
I always loved Daredevil too. See, we can agree on that.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Everyone hated Daredevil. I saw it in theaters and I liked it. Although I will admit it's been a long time, and there have been movies I've kind of returned to and been like, I don't know how I like that one. So, and it's been a long time since I've seen that one.
Anyone who watches my show will understand that I love tangents. So just really quickly, the main problem with Daredevil. Well, the director's cut is great. I think that if you watch the director's cut, it's a much better film, in my opinion. I
still haven't seen the director's cut,
homie.
So I need to watch that. I just remember seeing it in theaters when I was young and really enjoying it. I really liked Colin Farrell as Bullseye. I thought
he's great. He's great as Bullseye. So what I will say about Daredevil is the one thing that makes me cringe and want to throw things at my TV when I watch it. It's not watching; it's listening. It's the awful soundtrack. Oh my god, it is. I don't like new metal.
You don't like Wake Me Up Inside?
Well, not just that. That
Evanescence, that's what it was.
Right, yeah. But see, that song at least was like, it's whatever, right? I can tolerate bad music or things I don't like, but the whole thing sounds dated just by the soundtrack. It doesn't look dated, in my opinion. It sounds dated. It just sounds like it came out of that era, and it sounds terrible. So besides that, I love it.
Yeah. In fact, as an early superhero film, I remember it being good. I need to watch it again.
Director's cut. So anyway, that's Mark Steven. I think it's Mark Steven Johnson. I think that's his name. So anyway, Kennedy Johnson, I think has done a pretty solid job of building up these characters. And again, and we talked about this before. He's emphasizing the human elements more, I'd say, than even, at least from my perspective. It seems like he's emphasizing more. There seems like more of a more concrete thematic story with this and the other Aliens comics that I have read. Now that could be good or bad, because sometimes you want to get to that alien stuff like right now, and I think that's a legitimate.
That's not my complaint when I say I feel like the story is kind of meandering. For me, it was just there were a few points where it's like, okay, we're in Gabriel's kitchen, he's talking to his son, now he's talking to someone else in his kitchen again, and now they're on the space station. And now they're still looking around on the space station. So like the pacing is kind of, and maybe this is just because we're used to the pacing with Dark Horse, but this is a 6-issue arc. But I don't know if the arc is just the first chapter of this story. And then we're going to be like sticking with Gabriel for multiple arcs or what. So
I'm down with it so far. I like the character. There's a lot. The
story still has me intrigued. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's more to the story. And see, you were griping with the fact that like all of a sudden he knows this person. To me, I think that's why there's a lot to me going on in this that I think that's really interesting. The fact that he knew that going into it, he knew what to expect. And the fact that his son got kind of like wrapped up into it, I don't know. To me, it seems like he knew what he was walking into. And I love the idea that he's like, okay, I've been absent to my son, and now I have to go and save him from something that I know that I was a part of. I don't know. There's a really interesting dynamic there. I like where it's going, and I think that to me is what's really grabbing me.
Yeah.
Now I want to show you some stuff. I want the viewers to kind of see for themselves. If you're on the fence, you're hearing both of us, and you're like, well, the hardcore guy hates it, and this guy kind of likes it, thinks it's good, then or likes the franchise, or doesn't love it as much as this guy. What should I listen to? Why don't you see for yourself for a minute?
It's not a competition. I mean, no. You're an Alien fan, so
I am. I feel like I'm inferior though. When I talk to you guys, I'm like, you guys are like, oh my god, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm
no, we don't mean to,
right.
I hope we don't come across that way because that's
no. This is my own insecurity. Okay, this is my own insecurity. No, but I want people to look at this art for a minute. Okay, I have no idea if this is a pose or not. I have no idea, and if I was just like some average dude who just walked into the comic store and picked this comic up and saw this, I'd be like, this looks rad. Yeah. Like I have no problem.
I look at that and I say, oh, that's the Hot Toys alien.
I have no how does that a big? I just don't understand the problem. It just looks good. Who cares?
Well, there's another panel. I don't know if you have it pulled up.
I don't have
the main one we had a problem with, which it was a side profile shot of the alien. And the very next panel. Maybe it was
the one where he's like standing, like the one you guys were complaining about, right? The fact that he was like going to attack and he stopped. It's a big.
It was right there, and then it switches to a smaller panel, which is a completely different reference, which is from the first movie. It's like a production still from the first movie. So I'm like, at least have consistency. If you're going to use the Hot Toys alien, stick with the Hot Toys alien.
Well, I mean, interesting enough. I don't like see. I'm looking at the page, which by the way, I freaking love because the panel is. See, the story. I don't want to give too much of the comic on the channel, because it's like people to experience the stuff themselves, right?
Sorry, I should have asked you about the spoilers. So I will.
Oh no. Spoilers. Listen, we could talk about it, but it's one thing to experience it. I don't want to give too much visual, spoilers. I guess because I think the comic's still worth looking at and picking up. That's just my opinion. I know you guys are different.
I mean, I read it, so it's like just making myself suffer at this point.
Wow.
I haven't picked up the
variants
yet. I haven't even gotten a physical copy yet. This is the first one I've just gotten the digital copy, and I was gonna go to the comic shop, but I was just like,
turn in your aliens card now, Holmes. Turn in your
hey, we just have refined alien tastes, all right?
No, I got you. No, but I'm looking at this page right now because I think this is a beautifully crafted page, actually. And I love that side profile and I know which one you're talking about because he hits the guy and then they're just staring at each other. And then there's 3 more panels that are right, and again, it's 5 panels total, but the main panel is the overlap, or it's the main splash page, you could say, or whatever. It looks great. I love the way this page looks, and when I read it, I never once noticed that difference. I never noticed like, oh, it's a different like interpretation of the alien. Which again, that's just me being naive and ignorant, and I don't know if ignorance is bliss,
or it's just us being nitpicky fans. Like
I don't know.
I totally admit 95% of people who are reading this comic, and that's being like generous on my part. It's probably more like 99% of people are not going to notice these things, and they're not going to care about these things. But I just know that there's a lot of artists that do deeply care about Alien, that are
absolutely
super. And I don't know, like if LaRocca does, or if this is just a job. I don't know his mindset. I don't think he does interviews too much because he could have had some bad PR with a previous statement on one of his colors. But
yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. But so it's just I see a lot of artists doing Alien, like especially on Alien Day. You see all these artists putting out Alien stuff, and it's like, you guys are Marvel. Like hire someone who like can really do Aliens. Where we look at that, and the hardest core fans are going to be like, damn, that artist, they know how to do Aliens.
So and really quickly, I think this is why I love. This is why I love talking with someone like this, because I don't think you're wrong either. I mean, no one's wrong for having an opinion, but as far as a greater kind of sense of like, find someone that can do something more original with Alien, I don't think is a wrong mindset. You know, I understand. I think there's validity to what you're saying completely. The fans that are saying that they're complaining that these are things they're noticing as hardcore fans. They should be conscious of that, because to me, I know, like, you're right too. We're both right in the sense to that. Yes, regular fans like me that like the franchise but aren't buying the hot toys and things like that, we're not going to notice that stuff. But to me, what's been carrying these franchises for years, right, are you guys. You guys are the hardcore fans that support out, and you guys give you guys are out putting the podcast out. You're creating the buzz for the franchises. If you don't support the hardcore fans, you don't give them, don't make them happy in some way. You can't make everyone happy, right? But at least if majority of fans, hardcore fans, are saying something, that should tell you something. And I think that something like this should be, noticed and go, okay, we got to take that in consideration. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to downplay that at all, because I don't. And I think because if you piss off the hardcore fans, you're not going to, it's just not going to be good for anybody.
Well, it hasn't really pissed me off. Like, I'm not like, wow, this is the worst Alien comic ever. Sure. Like, Marvel is totally ruining this property. Like, no, that's not my mindset. I'm just like, this is not the start I was hoping for with Marvel. Gotcha. I'm looking forward to the Aliens one shot, because I really like what I'm seeing from that artist. So I'm always hopeful, Gotcha. And we don't want to gatekeep either. If someone's enjoying this comic, if you're enjoying this comic, that's awesome. That's what I say to people who love the Alien prequels. I'm like, that's awesome. You love the prequels. I wish I could, Right. So
I like Prometheus. I think that one's, I like Prometheus. That's a side note. That's a side note. And that's the thing. I think there's a couple things. See, I knew we were going to go along on this. I always say, like, we'll save it. I'm glad we saved genocide for next time. If you're wondering why we haven't done genocide yet, we'll save it for the next episode. I promise.
We're going to do a comparison between that older Dark Horse comic and this one.
Which would be great, which I read, and I can't wait to talk about. I have a lot to talk about with that too. But there's a couple things we'll say, and then we'll head out here. And again, Adam, thank you for your time. I'm going to criticize Lil Roca, and you're going to criticize Lil Roca on one thing, but I'm actually not going to hate on it as much as everyone is on this as much. So there's these little cute little things here, and sorry, it's a swear word up there, people. I'm sorry, but I saw this and I meant to ask you. I was going to go, Adam, are these actual aliens from like different comic books or something? Because I'm like, these are kind of cool looking. I like these, and I meant to ask that to you. And then when you were telling me all these different criticisms of it before the episode, you're like, and then you see the goats. I'm like, wait, what? And so anyway, if you want to take it away, I'll bring up the picture here. So go ahead, just start talking. I'll bring it up.
Yeah. So it was ripped from some deformed goats, and he put big horns on them. If he wanted to do a really deep cut, he could have taken, I think they're called the Rinth from the AVP comic, which was completely original livestock that was developed just for that comic.
You know what? And see, Adam, now we're talking. Now, this is what I'm talking about. If Lil Roca would have done something like that, he may have won over a lot more hardcore fans. Not a lot, or not everyone, but at least said, hey, at least he's trying.
I mean, you can overdo the fan service too. But like, it would have been even cooler if he just had conceptually designed a new livestock creature that we've never seen before. Like, that would have been the most ideal. If it would have been taken from something we've seen before, that would have been like, oh, that's cool. But with something like this, it's like, whoa, what is that? That's cool. Because people were actually saying positive things about these creatures until they were like, it's just taken from a deformed goat or whatever.
No, okay, for the record, I don't think this is that bad. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're using that. That's fine. But there's differences, and I think you're just using real world stuff because again, Aliens is very much based and rooted, I think, in like a very real world context, so at least from the like aesthetically design side and whatnot. So for the most part, at least that's always the way I looked at it. Way more.
I'm not saying you can't take, like, you shouldn't take inspiration from real life and real world things, but it's just when things are so heavily referenced and you're like, this is like from that. This is like the car. I'm like, this is a Toyota hybrid concept car. Like, I'm supposed to take that this exact car is 150 years in the future in Alien. Like, no, I'm supposed to take that this drop ship, the inside of it looks like a Chinook military helicopter. No, like, it's just like, come on, like do some designs of your own. So
okay, so before we go, I have two things. So one more thing, as far as the alien lady thing, and I'm curious your thoughts. So I have two things on it. One, if that truly is what it looks like, okay. if that's what it looks like, I'm not saying it's gonna go over well, but I will say I'll give Marvel a lot of credit for going deep on this, meaning like they had some guts to do something. I don't
think it will. Aaron actually loves that idea. He loves the alien Syl looking like the female biomechanical. Like he thinks in his mind it's like an engineer bioweapon or something.
See, yeah, I'm with him on this, Aaron. I'm with you, homie.
Yeah, and you kind of have that like interesting concept, right? With like Sarah Kerrigan from StarCraft, and like she's gone over to the side of the Zerg in that one. So yeah, I don't think it is though, because we've seen the covers of the subsequent comics, and we have this more like Praetorian looking alien, which we're assuming is the alpha because it matches with the story descriptions of those upcoming comics. And so, you know, they has been theorized like the Queen has like a telepathic ability to communicate with her drones. So if this is a new type of alpha alien, maybe it has something to do with that, and that's kind of the image of it telepathically in his mind or something. Okay. But we'll see.
Well, is it possible that the alpha alien that they have on the cover and this other character could be two different characters still? They
could be. We don't know. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to praise these covers. These covers by In-Hook Lee are just so, and apologies for the pronunciation if that's wrong. The covers are so awesome. And that was one thing Mr. H was saying on his YouTube channel, is the covers do not represent the comic very well. And also the artists on all the variant covers, most of those, there've been a few that have been like, but most of those have been super solid. Like, that's why I've wanted to collect all the variants, because I'm like, whoa, this artwork is so cool. And this is the first Marvel comic. So it's a shame when you open the comic after like such a striking cover and you're like, wow, like look at that girl with the alien tail around her neck. Like that's crazy looking. And you open the comic and it's like, whoa, there's nothing in here that's anything like this.
That I will give you that because this would actually better represent the previous comic than this one. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Now, as far, and again, really quickly, and you already know this too. The reason why we don't get some of these artists as doing interiors is because they take forever, and that's why. And LaRocca is like clockwork. He is efficient, and that's why he's in the business as he is. And let me tell you, comics, if you're reliable, you're working. So yeah, that's kind of
and that's the thing. Most people don't care. Like the gripes I'm saying and some of our community saying, most people don't care.
They do care. They do care. It's just that they don't know the material as well as you guys do, and so they don't know better like me. And that's why it's good learning experience for me. But at the same time, I just don't have the amount of like built-in like disdain for like these toys and poses. I just don't.
We don't have disdain for the toys. It's
not the toys,
like,
but the art of the toys.
Again, I think the toys make great reference. It's just
I see what you're saying. Okay,
like reference to start from. Like do your own thing with. But
so, and the last thing I'm going to ask you, really, and this is just really quick on this one, the ending. What do you think of the ending? I love the ending. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it'll be. I guess it didn't really stick with me.
No.
Oh,
God,
where that? Killing me. Yeah, okay. So they had the cliffhanger.
You had to go look at
his old friend pops. I was just feeling down on this comic, man. I wanted to forget about it.
Oh, all right, fair. That's fair, homie.
But it's interesting to have that reintroduction, and obviously that is a significant character in the Alien fandom. So
that was cool
for him to show up like that. Yeah, it is cool, and we'll see how.
Go read the comic if you want to know what we're complaining about or what we're arguing. And again, I love this. I mean, this is not me like being negative, like being mad or anything. I love discussion. This is what I live for, is in anything art, whether it be music, especially comic books, and something like with Adam, who has just an amazing amount of knowledge. And he's nice enough and awesome enough to come join me and do this with me is awesome. And thank you so much. And
I'm happy to be a guest, man. Thanks
this
for having me on.
Yeah, this is great. So before we go, show the audience what you got recently.
Oh yeah. So I went to my local comic shop in Salt Lake City called Black Hat Comics. Shout out to Greg, who's awesome owner of that place, who's super helpful. But I got this, which is the first Marvel Omnibus, which recollects a lot of the older comics from Dark Horse, and it does have some that have never been printed outside of their initial comic releases, like the Alien 3 adaptation.
Yeah, okay.
And there's a number of others in here, like some of the Dark Horse Presents stuff that have never been reprinted before. So the collection itself is very impressive. It's pretty pricey. I think this was like
125. Yeah.
But my only complaint is the pages are pretty thin, like kind of thinner than I'm used to with the Dark Horse Omnibus. Like they're almost like newspaper, not quite that thin, but
no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like they're thinner than I'm used to. But again, this book is just so massive. That I'm like, well, if they had thicker pages, maybe this thing would be more expensive and more hefty.
And you'd be like killing people with it, probably like hitting people with it. And so
this is I think the second biggest Alien book on my shelf, which the biggest is still the Fire and Stone collection, which was the big Prometheus crossover they did, and they released this big hardcover for that.
Oh yeah, okay. I had that digitally, by the way.
Nice. Have you read Fire and Stone and Life and Death?
No, but we will for the show. I promise.
Yeah, those ones are odysseys to get through. They're long, and that was like right after Prometheus, so they were trying to bring everything with Prometheus.
I thought it was interesting. That's honestly why I bought it, because I'll just go on forever. We'll discuss this for another episode. This will be, but no, really quickly, the as far as the omnibus goes, I do think it's interesting you brought up the paper comment. That's actually been a big criticism of Marvel for a while. Their trades is that their paper is very thin and brittle, and that when you buy these trades or these graphic novels or they're the same thing, the omnibuses, that the paper feels very thin.
Is it like that with the trade paperbacks as well?
Yeah,
similar feeling to the omnibus.
Yeah. They're, at least when I haven't bought a lot of recent omnibuses. I have a lot of older ones. But there is a lot of complaints about that. In fact, Ed Brubaker, I remember hearing, who I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's a very prominent comic writer, or was, and still is, obviously. He does mostly his own creator-owned stuff. He did the Winter Soldier character. He created that character and that whole arc of Captain America. He was very critical of Marvel, amongst other things, but he talked about just when you buy a trade of Marvel, he said he just didn't like the way they presented it. It just looked very cheap. And when he releases his graphic novels, he goes out of his way to give really, really nice paper and just make it a really worthwhile product.
And that's always what Dark Horse did too, with the majority of their releases.
I would agree with that. Yeah, no, I think there's something to that, but at the same time, I gotta tell you, this is let me show you this. This is Marvel's this will they'll eventually do with Aliens and Predator, I imagine, if they haven't already. But this is the Epic Collection. And the Epic Collection is a lot like what you're talking about, that omnibus.
Smaller collections.
Yeah, smaller. So it's not the omnibuses. And I will be honest, I'm not an omnibus guy. I love omnibuses because of what they are and how fun they are to look through every once in a while. Like, I have the whole thing collected. But this is what I prefer, because I can actually hold this and read it.
That's closer to the size of the Dark Horse omnibuses. Right. They were a bit smaller.
Yeah. And they'll release those. And so what they would do, Adam, is like with your what you're talking about, they'd put all kinds of unreleased stuff in there, like just kind of almost like a DVD special features thing, where they'll have like interviews and they'll put in all the collection covers and like all the forwards and whatever from all the different collections, and they'll put them all in there. It's just really cool. In fact, I would say what got me hooked, I wasn't really buying these trades really until the Star Wars trades came out. And I started researching those, and I went, wait a minute, they're putting in all kinds of stuff in these, and they're actually in chronological order. And I was like, and this for Legends, of course. And I just thought that was amazing. And they had all supplementary material in there, like the interviews. And I'm like, these are worth it. I got to pick these up. So I've been going back and buying, and they're some of them are pricey. So I haven't gone too crazy with it yet, but yeah, I'm actually looking. I'll actually probably pick up those for the Aliens and Predator stuff, to be honest, because it's just easier for me to read. Do you read do you actually read those big omnibuses at all?
I mean, I haven't had an omnibus this big, so I'm sure I will go through and read it.
What you think? Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the novelty of just having this big ass book,
Yeah, novelty. That's a good word for it. Yeah.
But no, I would go through and read it. I just might have to set it on a table or something.
I was gonna say this is where next time you come on, just try to get just kind of because is it Asylum in there?
I believe so.
If
it's Asylum.
Wait, which one are we doing again?
We're doing Genocide.
Genocide. I'm sorry, Genocide. If Genocide's in there, then you definitely read it through on that and tell me what you think and how easy it is. Because
Nightmare Asylum is the second one in the whole Earth War trilogy, and that one is my favorite of the original comics.
Nightmare Asylum? Okay.
Yeah. The art is by Den Beauvais, and I think the art is just so awesome.
So this is what we're reading, right? This is what I read.
We're reading Genocide.
Okay. I have read this comic book, and I'm ready for the next.
I have read it a long time ago. I'm going back to review it. Oh, by the way, so Marvel has also released a lot of the individual trades of this collection on Comixology and their own digital platform. So we're starting to see a lot of those being published as well. So far, we haven't seen any actual physical ones, but it's good for the fans that might have missed out on getting the digital versions of the paperbacks before the before Dark Horse. I mean, they can't sell them anymore, obviously. So.
Right. Yeah. And I have like a bunch of those omnibuses. I think I bought all of them for Predators and Aliens, the ones that, you know, they had released before they went back over to Marvel. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited the fact that they're re-releasing all this stuff. This is great. So, yeah. And like I said, we're going to talk about Genocide. It's going to, I almost feel like it's going to almost, maybe it will be flipped. It'll be flipped from this episode from when, you know, you're,
or I'll be the positive one.
I think
you'll be like, this old alien comic is so strange.
No. I don't think it sucks, but it could be reversed. We'll see. I don't know. We'll just tease that. So Adam, thank you so much, man. I love this. This is so much fun. This is why, like, my wife always says, like, why you do so many podcasts? She lets me do so many podcasts, but, you know, people wonder, oh, you do a lot of podcasts. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. Like, this is what I live for, conversation like this. And it's been great getting to know you.
It's good to geek out with.
Yeah, exactly.
Fellow nerds, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
But yeah, no, again, for anyone watching, I'm sorry I'm being so negative. I was trying to warn Paul. I'm like, you sure you want me to keep doing this?
Yes,
I'm not liking this comic, and I don't want to like be a downer on your show here.
No, dude.
But again, like, I wish nothing but success for Alien with Marvel, and I hope there's comics that they release this year and moving forward, and Predator as well, that I really can get into. And I still hope this will end strong. I don't see myself liking the art anymore.
I don't think so either.
I'm hoping the story will be like, you know, that was an interesting, unique take for a starter. And I am curious about where it goes with Gabriel and his son. And I do think there are some hooks there, and there is some intrigue there. It's just with this particular issue, there were a few scenes that was like, oh, that was a little nonsensical for me. And when we start seeing the aliens more in the art, because as an Alien fan, like, we love those creatures. We love seeing them move. We love seeing them like do their thing. And so that was going to be a big part of the comic for me, is when we started seeing that more. And, you know, and that was a problem for me with Fire and Stone, which I thought the art in that particular comics, the way the artists work is he would collage photographic reference, his own reference of pictures he would take, I believe. Of toys? Into toys as well, but of actors too. And his panels looked fantastic. Like, I really liked his art style. I thought it looked great. And then we saw the aliens, and it was like, oh, these are posed toys. Like, to the point that, like, their fingers are in the same position in every single panel. And it's the same with this too. Their fingers are in the exact, it's like, can you make the finger move a little differently in each panel, please? Like, so that's where we get nitpicky as fans. That's we're like, this looks like I took a picture of a toy and put a comic filter on Photoshop and threw it on there. Like, so that's what we don't want to see.
I actually think that's a fair statement. Actually, I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, Adam, man, where can people find your awesome website you work for, and where can people follow you on your exploits?
So if you want to check out our site, it's avpgalaxy.net. We are also on all the major socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. If you search AVP Galaxy or Alien versus Predator Galaxy, you're sure to find us.
Yeah, and where people follow you on Twitter? Where can people?
If you'd like to follow me personally, it's at Ridgetop21 on both Twitter and Instagram.
And let me tell you, Adam's he's a great follow. I've been following him for a while now. He's great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Yeah, seriously, you're a great follow. Go on there, follow him, support him. His stuff is great. Again, he's not, I know he's not Mr. Negative. He's very positive.
There's things people hate. Like, I love and defend AVPR, and almost every fan hates that movie's guts. So.
I don't hate it as much as everybody else, but I do love the first AVP a lot. I like.
Yeah,
the
me
movie a
too.
lot.
I love
Right,
both of the AVP movies. Yeah.
So, you know, and I know if you love video games, this guy, he's all about the video games. And I need to get you and my buddy Chris together. You guys would be probably two peas in a pod. He's a big,
I'd love to.
game.
And that's why this is such an exciting year, is because I don't remember a time we've ever had an ongoing Predator multiplayer game, and we have a new Aliens multiplayer game coming out in the summer. So to have those both at the same time will be really cool as fans.
So yeah, exactly. And so yeah, again, this is awesome. We'll be on next month. We'll hopefully have we'll do Genocide. Maybe we'll have a more positive review of 4th issue.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm hoping. Bring it together for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can follow. Please subscribe, like this video. For all the new subscribers we got from the last episode, thank you so much. This has been awesome, and please, again, keep it up. And I love comic books, and I love talking about comic books with my friends. So this is great. So as always, I always say, read more comic books, and we'll see you hopefully in the next video.